Hey everybody, welcome to the Married with Wrestling podcast, where we talk about wrestling.
North American major promotions.
Our favorite and least favorite, because last week you got very mad about how you did not like AEW's booking.
Well, we'll be talking positively about AEW today, because Double or Nothing was a pretty good show.
I'm Susan. This is Chris. Let's get started.
Well, since we already talked about it, let's just start with Double or Nothing.
Okay.
So, AEW's weekly TV does leave a lot to be desired. I think we've established that. However, when it comes time for a pay-per-view, AEW rarely misses. But I think it's because when they do pay-per-views, it's their bread and butter. Pay-per-views is just matches.
Yeah.
There was a promo on this one. But I think that's why they do their pay-per-views so well, is because the pay-per-views fit what they want to do. They want to put dream matches on a card and have them go 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work for Dynamite and Collision, but it's always going to work for a pay-per-view. And Double or Nothing was no exception. Double or Nothing not only had that, but we had a couple returns as well, and we had a couple title changes. So it was a pretty significant show for things that happened. As far as our title changes, Roddy Strong lost the International Championship to Will Ospreay, which kind of surprised me. I thought Roddy would hold on to it a little bit longer.
I did too.
But I understand they are wanting to rack up Will Ospreay wins while they can. He hasn't lost yet since he's been there. He only lost a tag match when he was teamed with Orange Cassidy, and they lost to Roddy and Trent Beretta. So Roddy Strong lost his international title. Sorry, I'm brain fuzzing today. And Willow lost her TBS championship to Mercedes Moné. Which is fine. I kind of thought the same with Willow. I thought Willow would hold it a little longer and this would stretch out a little more. I kind of thought that maybe Willow would win and Mercedes, in her frustration, would go a little more heel.
See, I definitely thought, I knew Mercedes was winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would be weird to have her lose her first match, but at the same time, you could have had anything happen. You could have had, you could have told the story that she was shy about putting weight on that leg because she hadn't wrestled in so long. You could have given Willow a win while protecting Mercedes and stretched it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
However, there was a story after the match anyway, and it definitely seems like Willow's going in a new direction. She lost her match because she had the visual pin on Mercedes, and Stokely and Chris Statlander had the ref distracted by mistake. And after the match, Willow was dejected. She had lost, and Stokely was getting in her face about it, and Statlander pushed down Stokely, and they left, and then as they were going up the ramp, Statlander turned on Willow Nightingale, hit her with a clothesline, just laid her out. Mercedes did nothing, because she didn't have any skin in that game. And we found out that Stokely and Statlander are actually working together, and they actually got a couple segments on Dynamite. Mm-hmm. So this feels like it's going to be a big deal going forward, which should be. Chris Statlander is one of the best female wrestlers they have.
Yeah.
She's really, really good. She could go to NXT and she'd fit right in with everybody.
Yeah.
She'd probably be a couple levels above most of them.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with that title. Swerve retained against Christian. That match was fun. MJF's back. So after Will Ospreay beat Roddy Strong, Adam Cole came out, cut a promo about how he should be celebrating with Roddy, but Roddy lost and all this. And then they played a vignette on the screen of somebody from a first-person perspective walking down a hallway, and they went into this room and they had different callbacks to MJF's career. The scarf was in there. His jacket from the Nightmare Family was in there. The dog collar from the CM Punk match. His Dynamite Diamond ring, which was on this little mannequin hand, which looked cool. And then there was the picture of Adam Cole and him ripped apart. They brought back together, and then it cut, and then MJF came out. MJF hugged Adam Cole and then kicked him in the wiener, because that's MJF's thing. And then MJF cut a very long promo that basically amounted to, my contract's been renewed, I'm not going anywhere. And then what a lot of people have come to call it, he pulled a Cody Rhodes and revealed a very ugly tattoo. So
did a lot of people, or did you just come up with that and you're saying?
No, a lot of the online discourse was he really did take a page out of Cody's book.
Oh, okay.
But they said that MJF at least had the sense to put it somewhere where he could cover it easily, and Cody's just out there for the world to see. But I don't think it's really hurt Cody. Something about, Roman Reigns' 1,300-day reign coming to an end at the hands of Cody. I think Cody turned out fine with the tattoo.
Yes.
But yeah, there was Toni Storm had a really good match with Serena Deeb. Mm-hmm. It was just a really fun, good show. Trent and Orange Cassidy had a match. Orange won by roll-up. I don't necessarily know that was the way to go, but they kind of fixed that on Dynamite anyway, because Trent is now part of the Don Callis family, because Orange Cassidy essentially told Don Callis to go pound sand. So we've had some progression there. So overall, for AEW this week, they had some pretty good stuff going on.
They did.
And with Forbidden Door coming up, we'll dive into that a little bit later. But Double or Nothing hit as expected. AEW pay-per-views. I mean, it sucks that they're $50 a pop and they're not streaming, but honestly, I've never thought that we've wasted our money getting an AEW pay-per-view.
No.
They can be long. I know sometimes they're too long for you.
But just if they're on Sundays, like they end at like 12:30 and I have to work the next day.
Well, in this case you didn't because we have Memorial Day, but
typically, I have to work the next day.
Yeah. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that AEW would be fine if they would just start the show an hour earlier.
Yeah.
Like start at 7 and run from 7 to 11 instead of 8 to midnight.
You don't have to have every match on. You could have cut Jericho's match.
There were a lot of people that said they could have done the Jericho match on Dynamite and the Orange Trent match could have been done on Dynamite.
Especially because it didn't end. Like, it meant nothing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Jericho stuff is interesting. Like, Jericho's in a weird place. We may dive into him a little more next week and what's going on with him. That may be like a case study we need to do. Something along those lines.
Yes.
But we'll talk about AEW again a little bit later because there was something that happened on Dynamite that's pretty worth talking about. So we'll get there. Okay, so let's move over to WWE for a minute. So last night, they did a storyline all night last night where there was rumors about AJ Styles. There was rumors of retirement. People weren't sure what was going on. They interviewed Michin, who flat out said he doesn't really talk to us anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Poor Michin, she knew nothing, but the Good Brothers did.
Yeah, the Good Brothers knew something was up. So I'm guessing Michin's not part of the group now because she's kind of a face, and we'll get there. So AJ Styles had like a walk where like he encountered LA Knight. LA Knight was like, if the rumors are true, respect. So that hatchet's buried, I'm guessing. So he's walking out. Then there's Cody. And, like, it's crazy how over Cody is. Like, he was there for a second, and the crowd, it got so loud when they saw him. Like, Cody is unbelievably over. AJ whispered something in his ear, which was funny. Somebody pointed out online, The Rock did that too. They said Cody must have a really good ear to whisper into or something.
Really good whisper in here.
Yeah, apparently. And he just, and Cody took it so seriously, he was just like, yeah. And AJ walked out.
He looked shocked.
Yeah. They did the long shot with AJ Styles, which I thought was really effective here as well, where they follow them through their journey. I love when WWE does those, and we follow the wrestler from the back to the arena. It's really cool. I love to see the path they have to take and where they are, because sometimes it feels like they could be anywhere in the building, but they're always like less than 30 seconds away from Gorilla and where they come out. It's funny. So AJ Styles encountered Cody, and then he gets to the end, and the Good Brothers are there waiting for him, and he talks about how he loves them, and he's glad that they're there for that. So then they go out, AJ does his entrance, and he comes to the ring, and he starts talking about how, like, his son graduated high school, and he's asked himself, how many times has he missed this, how he's had a long career. They even showed, like, pictures of, like, different stages of his career, like, they built up his accomplishments. It was very nice the way they did it.
Yeah.
So AJ Styles comes to the ring and does all this, and then he says, I whispered in Cody Rhodes' ear that I wanted him to come out whenever I mentioned his name. And so he mentioned his name, Cody came out, and he told Cody that he had one of the best matches with him in his career at Backlash in France. I would agree with that. The match was really good. But I'm not surprised because it's AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes. I don't think those two... I think if you put those two in the same ring and they had a bad match, I think the world would implode on itself.
Yeah.
So he tells Cody, he thanks him for it. Cody thanks him.
Cody does his crying.
Yeah, Cody drew up tears for this because Cody's Mr. Amdram, and I love it. And so he starts raising AJ Styles' hand, and they go to the different parts of the ring to celebrate. And then AJ Styles turns and cleans Cody's clock, and the whole crowd just goes, "Oh!" Like, so then, what was interesting was a lot of people wondered why the Good Brothers weren't helping AJ Styles beat up Cody. And what had happened was, like, when they kind of panned around one of the shots, you could see Nick Aldis and a bunch of referees were coming to the ring, and the Good Brothers were literally holding them back.
Yeah.
Like, that was really cool storytelling there to show that. So, basically, AJ Styles was told by Nick Aldis, hey, you have to go to the back of the line. You're not going to get a shot right away at the title again. And AJ Styles pretty much said, well, screw that. I'm just going to beat Cody up and make him mad enough to challenge me. So, we're going to get AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes, too. I have seen a lot of people say AJ should win here. No. Cody should not lose the title after 2 months after dethroning 1,300-day Roman Reigns. That should absolutely not be happening. Should not be happening. Speaking of Roman Reigns, what do you think? How do you think things are going with Bloodline 2.0 right now?
Like in general?
Yeah, how do you feel about Solo and the Tongans?
I'm intrigued. I mean, I'm not like, I don't love them. I don't hate them.
You know what's
I want to know where it goes.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting to me. The most interesting character in that story right now is Paul Heyman.
Yeah. I think Paul Heyman's making it interesting.
Paul Heyman is killing it. Like last night, Kevin Owens came out and he called out Solo. It was a really nice transition because Solo and Paul Heyman were in the back talking about Cody Rhodes. And Solo was like, we've got Cody Rhodes in check, and he doesn't even know it. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, Solo, I think Cody has forgotten you existed at this point. Especially now that AJ Styles is up his ass.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool transition because there was a TV there besides Solo, and then Kevin Owens was coming out on the TV into the crowd, like it was a feed of the show. And Solo just looks at Heyman, and he's like, you need to go fix this. You need to go fix this now. So I think we cut to a commercial at that point. We come back. Owens is there. Yeah, because you talked about how like it would be hard to just sit there in the ring awkwardly while other stuff was going on.
Yeah.
So they had Kevin Owens out. Kevin Owens called out Solo, and Paul Heyman comes out, and Paul Heyman's pretty much like, please don't do this. Like, this isn't the bloodline that you know. These guys are killers. They will kill you. I think his words were, they're going to do something really bad. And Owens is just like, why should I listen to you? You know, you're pretty much full of crap from day one.
Yeah.
And, like, I saw a lot of people saying that, like, Paul Heyman should get an Emmy nomination. Because Paul Heyman just kind of went off. He was like, nobody listens to me. Everybody thinks da-da-da-da-da. And in his rant, he flings the mic and it hits Owens in the chest. And everything just goes quiet. And Owens is just standing there for a minute. And Paul Heyman looks like he is shitting bricks. And the crowd starts up a "you effed up" chant, which, of course, gets muted. So it's sitting there in silence. And I saw somebody put an interesting thought online. They were like, the silence kind of worked for me. They said because it's kind of like being in Paul Heyman's perspective. When he messed that up, everything went quiet and awkward. Like, he was just like, oh dear. So then Owens starts to step to Paul Heyman. So then Solo comes out. Of course, we want Roman chants are happening. And at one point, Paul Heyman even says, there's nobody in this building that wants Roman Reigns here tonight more than me. So Paul Heyman has somehow become a face. Paul Heyman and Roman have become faces in this whole thing, which is very interesting because that was known for a while that was the end game to it.
Yeah.
But nobody knew how they were going to get there, and it got there so naturally.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to force it at all. Like, literally, like, it was, you know, piss on you, Roman. Yay, Cody finally beat him. And literally, like, a week later, everybody's like, we want Roman.
You also had, like, somebody new take over the bloodline. You're like, oh, heck no.
Yeah, exactly.
Solo took over, everybody's like, no.
Yeah. And a lot of people have said that they're like, oh, this new bloodline just feels different. That's the point of the story. That's why Roman is wanting to come back. You know, I'm ready for Roman to reunite the Usos, and I'm ready for that 6-man of Solo and the Tongans against Roman and the Usos. That match is going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I also love that they have teased that someone's pulling the strings, but we never find out who. Something always happens. Like, Paul Heyman was kind of alluding to it with Solo, and it was like Solo was going to mention more about it, and then Kevin Owens came out, so I like the mystery that's building with that. But it's interesting. I've seen so many different takes on this. Like, some people are saying that the Bloodline feels like a embellished mid-card faction now. Like, I don't think so. I think when Roman comes back, it's going to be a main event story again, whether Roman's champ or not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if The Rock was involved. I actually heard somebody yesterday spin a theory, because WWE said on commentary that the WWE has avoided the Tongans, avoided bringing them in, and didn't want them. And a lot of people have said, well, now that The Rock's in control on the board, now they're here, is that the story? Did The Rock bring them in? Is The Rock running this whole thing? Is this building to Roman Rock? Like, there's a lot of pieces in play here, but I think it's interesting that still in the background, Solo's focus seems to be on Cody, but he can't take his eyes off of Kevin Owens long enough to really do anything. So I don't know when they're going to strike Cody again.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But it's very interesting how they kind of like, they say they've got Cody where they want him, but they haven't really interacted with him since he won the title. Except for when they went to go to their locker room and it was Cody's now. And Solo was just like, he's champ, we gotta go.
Yeah.
So the Bloodline stuff's getting interesting again. When do you think Roman comes back? I'm thinking SummerSlam.
Sure, me too.
You think so?
I have no clue, but I'm going to agree with you.
I think when Roman comes back, I think the roof's going to blow off the building. I think everybody's going to be happy to see Roman Reigns back. Which is interesting, because Vince McMahon is somewhere in a dark room waiting to get prosecuted, being like, where was this 9 years ago? Like, because we did something interesting with Roman, that's what happened, Vince. So, yeah, main event stories are cooking on there, and we haven't even got to the King of the Ring stuff yet. That's interesting, too. Another show this week that had a lot of interesting things happen on it was NXT. So, I know what you want to talk about. We'll get there in a second. But the first thing that happened was Roxanne Perez's opponent has been revealed for Battleground. And everybody kind of collectively turned their heads with a shocked face whenever Jordynne Grace came out and was announced as Roxanne's opponent. She had the TNA Knockouts title, and NXT just kept talking about how she had the TNA Knockouts title. Like, there was a lot of mention. There was a TNA chant going on at NXT.
Yeah.
Like, once again, back to my previous point, Vince McMahon is somewhere going, what? Like, because another promotion's getting chanted on WWE TV, which is fine. I think it's interesting that WWE is kind of playing Forbidden Door games in the same time that AEW is building to Forbidden Door.
You know that's not a coinkydink.
No, it's not. It's not. But
I feel, but at the same time, it's like WWE. You clearly won. You don't have to compete now.
Yeah.
There's no reason to compete.
No. No, but if it leads to WWE working with other promotions, I think that will be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worked well for AEW. AEW has a whole pay-per-view concept built around it. And I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here because I have criticized AEW for bringing random people on TV like that.
Yes.
I don't mind it during Forbidden Door season because that's literally the point of Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
There, I don't mind it. But I do mind it when we're trying to tell stories for a regular AEW pay-per-view. That's when I mind it. But that wasn't the only surprise that we had on NXT. End of the night, there was a tag match. It was Trick Williams and Javon Evans against Gallus. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, what are they going to do? Because Joe Coffey apparently is in a triple threat for the North American title, but he's also kind of poking at Trick Williams. And I was like, is Joe Coffey going to feud for both? Like, what's going to happen here? Like, I'm not the biggest Gallus person, so more Gallus for me was kind of a, do we have to kind of deal? Like, they're talented, they just don't do anything for me. But our questions got answered because after the match, Trick and Javon Evans had won, and Trick Williams is in the ring celebrating, and he gets beaten from behind, and you can't tell who it is right away. They're not masked or anything. It takes you a second to process it because the camera was moving so quickly. Yeah. And then, off of Trick Williams comes the person, turns and faces the camera, and it's fucking Ethan Page. Ethan Page has attacked Trick Williams.
He is with WWE.
Yes. You and I have been saying for a while that Ethan Page would kill it in NXT.
Yeah.
And apparently Shawn Michaels agrees because the first day that Ethan Page is in the company, he attacks Trick Williams. And I remember reading online, it was very interesting. Shawn Michaels had wanted to keep Ethan Page a secret. Like, he went out of his way to try to make sure the least amount of people knew about it.
Yeah.
Which tells me that they really are high on him.
You could tell the fans were, like, shocked, too, when Ethan Page showed up. Because, like, everyone knew who he was because there was an Ethan Page chant that started, but everybody was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Like, it was crazy. Like, nobody thought Ethan Page was going to go to WWE because he has all of his other extracurricular activities. Mm-hmm. He has his toy hunts and all that. He really likes indie things. Yeah, he's very involved in, like, indie stuff. Like, he owns his own indie promotion, which so does Booker T, because Booker T references it. Reality of Wrestling is Booker T's promotion.
Oh.
And he's brought it up before, and he's talked about how he's had NXT people there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, and WWE's more open to stuff like that, I'm kind of thinking that Ethan Page might not have had to give that much up to do this.
Maybe.
The only thing that sucks for Ethan Page is now he's working out of Florida and he lives in Michigan. That's kind of annoying, but, you know, he just moved there. I doubt he's going to move down to Florida, but he might. Who knows? It also,
how do you know he just moved there, though?
He did videos on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
and I just watched his vlogs. That's how I know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not, like, stalking him or anything. He put that information out there. But it also raises an interesting question, because a lot of people have said, Ethan Page and Danhausen are, like, best friends, and clearly Danhausen seems to be... Clearly, Danhausen seems to be unhappy. So will Danhausen follow Punk and Ethan Page over to WWE?
Based on a sign that you saw him holding up is why you think that.
That and, like, it's just a lot of rumors, which a lot of wrestling backstage stuff is rumors.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it holds water. I've seen a lot of people say that Danhausen might be willing to go there now because the present regime might like him the way he is and not want to change anything.
Because that's his thing. He just doesn't want to change who he is.
Yeah, and he's an easy person to do. He's an R-Truth that sells more merch, essentially. I mean, I don't want to boil it down to that much, but he is. He's a stranger R-Truth. And a lot of people have said that they really want to see Danhausen and R-Truth interact. They want to see that happen.
That would be funny.
It would be really funny. I wouldn't be against it at all. So there's a lot of interesting things. NXT really made things interesting this week with the possibilities that are out there. Which is great. And NXT's viewership was up. NXT broke 700,000. And NXT was only like 80,000 behind Dynamite this week.
NXT's been really good here lately.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it kind of felt like NXT was starting to fall off a little bit because they sent a lot of main players to the main roster.
They always have to build people up.
Yeah, they were in that lull of like, okay, who do we build?
Yeah.
We were kind of playing with Noam Dar, and then Noam Dar got attacked. Well, it turns out Ethan Page attacked Noam Dar. Which is hilarious to me that Ethan Page saw Noam Dar and was like, I could kill this guy now. And we still kind of built up that Lash Legend knows that Trick wasn't involved, but we don't know why she knows. I'm thinking it's because they were together, and we'll get there.
Oh, they've exchanged smooches.
They have. And I don't know who's involved with what, but they kind of are like, they have good chemistry together. Like, if you told me they were together backstage, it wouldn't surprise me.
I tend to know this backstage of who's dating who. I don't remember ever seeing that. But if I'm wrong, I'd love to know this stuff. So.
Yeah, if you know, leave it in the comments. But ultimately, it's their privacy. If they want it out, it's out. If they don't, they don't.
Well, I want to know, though, also. So
yeah. You're kind of a creeper sometimes. NXT, I cannot wait for NXT next week, and I can't wait for Battleground. Battleground's going to be a lot of fun too. I think the UFC venue that they're doing is really interesting looking. We watch a lot of videos of like compilations of like indie moments and stuff, and one of my favorite things, this sounds so dumb, when there's people like flying around and killing each other on the screen. One of my favorite things is to see the different venues that the indie shows are taking place. I'm fascinated by venues. I love layout. Like I've talked before, I think Daly's place's layout's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see that. I'm interested in the matches. Just NXT feels like it's cooking again, and I'm here for it.
I mean, Shawn Michaels thinks the same. He changed his picture to him in a chef's suit.
And Shawn Michaels is like dancing with Sexy Red, and like Shawn Michaels is just the happiest dude in the world right now. But good for him. He books a really fun show.
Mm-hmm, he does.
Speaking of NXT losing some of their major players, this might not take long, but I really want to talk about Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is quickly climbing the ranks as one of my favorite current wrestlers, because the dude's a freaking animal.
You've been saying that for months now.
I have been.
Has he even climbed the ring, Cindy? Or
Yeah, he's
the
up
same
there.
level?
He's up there.
Because how many ranks does this man have to climb to get to the top?
I can't wait to see who his first feud's going to be that's not Adam Pearce. I have seen a lot of people say that Braun Breaker can really take this over the top by spearing Adam Pearce. I 100% agree. Let Braun Breaker cut Adam Pearce in half with a spear.
You did get very excited whenever you thought he was going to spear him.
I thought he was going to do it. But no, I love what Braun Breaker's doing. I love that his gimmick is, you drafted me and then didn't showcase me. That's your fault, and everyone dies because of your mistake. I think what helps it is, I think Braun Breaker has maybe the best spear of all time. It's got to be up there. And that's, I grew up on the Goldberg spear. I love the Goldberg spear. I think Braun's is a little better. Braun's a little faster. I don't know if he's more intense, but his intensity comes from a different place than Goldberg's did. I just can't wait to see Braun Breaker get in a feud. And he kind of seems to be kind of inserting himself into the feud between Ilya Dragunov and Ricochet. I think it would be interesting if Braun would feud with Ilya, but I don't think either one of them needs to lose a feud right now. So I see this as, I see Ricochet feuding with Braun, and because Ricochet's going to take those L's, because that's what Ricochet does. Ricochet doesn't win very many feuds. Mm-hmm. But he does get to at least showcase.
Yes.
Like, Ricochet's matches have been a lot of fun since Triple H took over, because Triple H gives him time to cook. Mm-hmm. I think him and Braun would be a really fun feud, and the thought of watching Ricochet sell one of Braun's spears just makes me giddy in a way that I haven't felt since I was 10 years old. Watching wrestling, waiting for Goldberg to cut somebody in half. So I'm very excited for Braun Breaker. His presence online, well, not his presence, but his fandom online is growing, because there's starting to be like compilations of him doing stuff. One of my favorite spots of all time is in NXT when he speared Carmelo Hayes through the wall, and it just looked like he speared Carmelo out of reality, like, because he just disappeared through the wall. I remember I almost laughed till I pissed myself when that happened. Like, yeah. The only issue I have with Braun Breaker is that he is, like, I think he could tone down the spray tan a little bit. The dude lives in Florida. I'm sure he can tan naturally. It's kind of like MJF, where, like, after he's been in the ring, you see orange stains on the mat. So him and MJF definitely have the same self-tanner. But with that being said, I just wanted to take a minute to gush about Braun Breaker. I think that dude's a star in the making, and I think he's gonna be a big player for the next 15 years. Dude's only 26.
Yeah.
He's only 26. It's insane. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to AEW for a minute. So the thing that I wanted to talk about that was pretty worthwhile and has got a really good reception online as well is the Casino Gauntlet match that they had on Dynamite to figure out who's going to challenge Swerve at Forbidden Door. I really like the concept of this match. So the concept of the match, if you're unfamiliar, is it's like a Royal Rumble, kinda. It's like a gauntlet match, kinda. Basically what happens is there's up to 21 different wrestlers that can enter the match, and they just come out at random times. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no, like, 90 seconds or 2 minutes like the Royal Rumble does. It's literally like they just come out whenever. And people just keep coming out, and it stops whenever there's a pinfall. So in this case, let's see, who all did we have in this one that featured? We had Jay White, we had Mystico, we had Pac. Pac and Jay White started it, which was really great. I could watch those two wrestle. Pac's one of those people, I could watch him wrestle anyone. So we had Pac, Jay White, we had Mystico from CMLL, we had Hechicero from CMLL, we had Shota Umino from New Japan, we had Will Ospreay, and we had Orange Cassidy was also out there. So I think in total we had 7 this time. This match leaves a lot of places that you could tell good stories. You could have it end after like 2 people. You could have the number 1 person fight somebody that's less than them, feel like that it's an easy win, they take their time, and then the next person that comes out's a world killer. You could tell the story that the match literally ends while someone's on the ramp making their entrance. Like, there's a lot of directions you can go with the story. I don't think AEW just realizes the gold mine they have on their hand here with this is their Royal Rumble. They found a way to do their own version of a Royal Rumble that was different enough that's not a ripoff and can tell different stories than the Royal Rumble can. So I really hope that they nest this match in and make it something that's consistent, because you can book the hell out of it and it's a lot of fun, especially if you have like a Forbidden Door coming up and you could bring in people from other promotions. You could debut free agents in it. Did you say
Leo Rush was in there?
Leo Rush was also in there. I forgot about Leo Rush.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch Leo Rush wrestle everybody. Claudio was out there, and Leo Rush was really just running from Claudio, because I told Susan I told you, as soon as Leo Rush came out, Claudio was already out there, and Claudio was in the ring waiting for him. And I think the first words I said to you was, well, Claudio's going to throw Leo Rush through the ceiling to do an uppercut. And I don't think it ever got there. I don't think Claudio ever got that hit. But anyway, after all of these big names in there, Will Ospreay ended up winning the match, which is fine. So we have Will Ospreay and Swerve at Forbidden Door. I think it's really interesting that the AEW title's not being defended against a New Japan person like it has been for the past couple Forbidden Doors. I think it's interesting that it's an AEW guy, but honestly, I kind of feel like the people that could challenge for the title from New Japan are now working for AEW, like your Okadas, your Jay Whites. Like, Forbidden Door is still a lot of fun, but AEW has taken a lot of the big names that New Japan could take there. We still have like Zack Sabre Jr., we've got Jeff Cobb, we still got a lot of people over there that can come over and it would make for a fun match. But AEW does have a lot of the big players as well. We found out also that the TNT title is going to be defended in a ladder match at Forbidden Door, so that's going to be fun as well. I can't wait to see what the field's going to be for that, because they're going to be doing qualifying matches for that. And the first one is on Rampage, and it's Takeshita against... I can't remember who Takeshita's fighting. But Takeshita's fighting somebody. I hope Takeshita gets in. So yeah, AEW going into Forbidden Door, they have a lot of fun stuff cooking as well.
Yeah.
So if we can get the quality of the TV up to where the pay-per-views are, AEW will be right back where they need to be.
Yes.
And at that point, with WWE the way it's cooking, if we can get AEW cooking half as well as WWE, it's already a great time to be a wrestling fan. But if both major North American promotions are crushing it, the only people that win in that scenario are all of us that enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
So, AEW, let's go. Let's start cooking weekly. Let's go. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's end things today with WWE. They had their King of the Ring event in Saudi, which we didn't watch, because we don't watch the Saudi shows. But I like the winners that we had for King of the Ring. So, on the men's side, Gunther won, kind of. It was kind of a fluke pin. Orton had his shoulder up. We're kind of telling the story that Gunther didn't really get him.
Yeah, because we talked about that.
Which is fine, because we can build that up, because Randy's on SmackDown, Gunther's on Raw.
Yeah.
We can build that up to where we bring these two back later.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be fun. It leaves an opening to do that match again, because from what I understand, the match was fantastic. I'm not surprised. It's Gunther and Randy Orton. And not only that, it's Randy Orton who loves his job right now, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So, on the women's side, Nia Jax beat Lyra Valkyria in the finals. Honestly, with how Nia's been since she's been back, I think she kind of earned it. She's come back. She's been better in the ring. She's starting to develop a fan base, which is great.
She's has more personality, I feel like.
Yeah, she's a lot more sassy.
Yeah.
The Queen gimmick's going to fit her great. And she's, on SmackDown, she's already used it effectively. Mia Yim was in the middle of an interview about AJ Styles, and Nia Jax comes over and tries to steal the spotlight, and Mia was like, we're in the middle of something, and she's like, oh, was the Queen addressing you? And I'm like, oh, she's already let it go to her head. Yes. And I love the contrast that she likes to wear the crown, and Gunther carries it like a trophy.
Yeah.
I like the contrast of that, because Gunther wouldn't wear it. For him, it's a trophy. It's not something you wear.
Yeah.
And I talked to you about this week. I love that the reason that Gunther is a heel is just he cares too much about wrestling to let people be goofy with it. Yes. I love that makes him a bad guy, that he wants no fun in wrestling. He's the freaking fun police. He's 6 foot whatever version of the fun police.
Yeah.
So he's going to get his match at SummerSlam. He's building it with Damian Priest. So Priest came out, cut a promo, and this flowed so smoothly. I've seen a lot of people talk about how they've really done a good job of letting those 3 hours of Raw flow. Where it doesn't feel like 3 hours anymore.
Yeah.
Because literally, we had Gunther come out to start. Ludwig Kaiser introduced him. This is how we started the show. Gunther came out. Ludwig Kaiser introduced him. Gunther talked about winning King of the Ring. Called out Damian Priest. Damian Priest comes out. They start building their feud, talking about SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre comes out. When Drew McIntyre comes out, Gunther says, this has nothing to do with me, and Gunther leaves. Yeah. And then we start building the match for Clash at the Castle with Drew and with Damian Priest. And I kind of love that Drew is seeing success because people are looking past him at other opponents. I like that that's kind of become a thing for Drew, because he's kind of becoming he's kind of having everybody become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, he warned Seth Rollins, you're going to look past me to this bloodline stuff and I'm going to beat you. And he did. You know, he can now tell Damian Priest, you're going to look past me to get to Gunther, and then you're going to lose. And I do think Drew McIntyre will win the title in Scotland. I think that's what they're doing for him.
Yeah.
I think they are giving him a huge reward because he's been one of the most interesting people. He's been crushing it. It's interesting that one of WWE's best feuds right now is between two dudes that are injured and can't fight.
Yeah.
It's very... You're really cooking whenever you're able to make two injured guys one of your hottest feuds.
Yeah.
Like, that's A-plus stuff right there. That is really...
A-plus superb.
That is really taking the chicken shit that life gave you and making chicken salad out of it. Not only that, but they made good, fancy chicken salad with
I like my A-plus superb better than your chicken shit analogy.
Okay.
Is it even an analogy? I don't even know.
Yeah, that's an analogy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really love how that flowed. Nia is already teasing fighting Bayley, but Bayley has to deal with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. It definitely seems like they're going to give Piper Niven a championship match in Scotland as well. Good for her. That's where she's from. That's awesome. She's really good. Chelsea Green kind of taking a backseat to her and being like the little annoying sidekick to her is going to fit Chelsea Green beautifully. Especially since Chelsea Green and Piper Niven fought Bayley and Naomi in a tag match last night. And I love that the ending was Chelsea Green was legal. So literally, at one point, Piper Niven came in and just did a senton on top of Chelsea Green and Naomi, because I think Naomi had Chelsea Green in some kind of a hold. And the match literally ended by Piper Niven just taking Chelsea Green and tossing her on top of Naomi and the ref counting 3. And of course, like, Chelsea's music playing and she's getting up and she's like she don't know where she is. Which Chelsea Green's really good at that. So yeah, and then we have the stuff with Nia Jax brewing in the background. So I think it was absolutely the right call to have the King of the Ring winner get a shot at SummerSlam, because it's been able to tell some stories there. Mm-hmm. I'm already excited for SummerSlam. We still have like 2 events to go before we even get there. Because we're teasing LA Knight and Logan Paul. But since Logan Paul's not there every week, we have Carmelo Hayes to kind of keep LA Knight occupied. And LA Knight just keeps torching him.
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes made a mistake that any of us can make last night, where he, instead of saying Logan Paul, he said LA. And of course, LA Knight took it and spun it and sent it back.
He was like, no, you're stars.
Yeah, like I'm sure it was all in fun, but if I was Carmelo Hayes, I'd be a little irritated that I was exposed like that. But, they must see a lot.
You got to be able to hang.
You
with
do,
that,
and LA Knight,
be able to roll with the punches if you make a mistake.
Yeah, and LA Knight's one of the best with a stick in his hand. So
he makes mistakes. He choked on his gum
and still saved it.
Yes, so
like his face when he stopped it. And what's funny is LA Knight himself even has one of the funniest promo botches in history with Shoes of a Champion.
Yes.
So he knows what this is about. He knows how to take it and do something with it. Like, LA Knight's just a freaking wizard, man, with the mic. Like, LA Knight's one of those dudes. It's fine when he wrestles. He's a good wrestler. He's not, like, fantastic. Like, he's not Will Ospreay. But he's definitely serviceable and does a good job. Mm-hmm. But honestly, if he was just the dude that just went around talking smack all the time and never fought anybody, I'm fine with that. I think when LA Knight's ready to hang it up, I think he would be a great manager for somebody. Like, he could be the second coming of Paul Heyman when Paul Heyman's ready to hang it up.
Yeah.
He absolutely could fill that role. I think LA Knight and Paul Heyman are probably 2 of the best that WWE has on the mic right now. I would put Cody up there as well. Cody's is a little more hammy because Cody plays at the ham drum. Miz doesn't get to flex it as much now.
True.
I kind of feel like Miz is kind of almost taking a back seat to R-Truth's antics. Like, Miz does a great job.
R-Truth is more popular.
He is, and Miz does a good job playing the straight man to R-Truth shenanigans. He is good at that. That works for him.
Yeah.
But I think I'm hoping we get one more solid heel run from The Miz, because when The Miz cooks as a heel, he can cook.
Yeah.
I think an easy way for him to garner that heat would be him and R-Truth lose, and he turns on R-Truth. It's already baked in there for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to cover everything this week. There was a lot of interesting stuff happening this week. This was a very fun week.
Yeah.
Coming out of King of the Ring, heading into Battleground, coming out of Double or Nothing. There's a lot of plates being set, and I'm very excited. I'm excited for Clash at the Castle. I'm excited for Forbidden Door. Like,
yes.
I'm just excited. Like, everybody's doing such good things. It's really fun to watch right now, and I hope it continues. I don't think WWE is going to slow down anytime soon. I just hope AEW keeps up and starts stepping up the weekly TV a little bit. I think something that will help them is, I think AEW needs to realize that not every match on Dynamite needs to go 20 minutes and be competitive. Sometimes, the example I saw this week was Rocky Romero never wins, Jon Moxley never loses. Why did it take Jon Moxley almost 20 minutes to take down Rocky Romero? Like, I agree with that. And I like Rocky Romero. But I think that match could have been cut in half. That could have been 10 minutes, and you could have put another women's match on or something like that. You know, they seem to understand that a match doesn't need to go 10 minutes when there's women involved. Like, we need to learn that that's the same way with the men. You know, we had the Creeds on TV this past week. I think the Creeds lost in 7 minutes, but it was competitive enough. I didn't think they got squashed or anything. They just lost in 7 minutes. It happens. Yeah. So I think once they approach that, and that just may be an issue of their wrestlers have a lot of creative control, and I would imagine there's a lot of wrestlers saying, I'm not losing in 5 minutes. Yeah. I'm going out there and working. I'm going out there for 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. And that's where Tony Khan needs to just step in and say, it's not needed for the story.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to have this match go that long.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see if AEW gets it figured out. But that's going to do it for this week. Find us on the socials. What's our socials at? What's our situation there? I know you worked. Did you get the Facebook set up?
Yes.
Okay, Facebook set up.
Married with Wrestling.
Married with Wrestling.
On Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And YouTube.
Okay, there you go. That's where you find us. So we will be back next week. We'll see if the momentum has kept up. I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to do with Ethan Page in NXT. I hope he gets to cut a promo. He's really good at those. But we'll see. Go out, find wrestling that you like to watch, enjoy it, and we will see you guys next week.
Toodles.